Tonight on KPBS Evening Edition, gas prices are going up, but some customers are staying loyal to their favorite stations even when they cost more.
And in just a few minutes, more details about Poway Unified School District's desperate loan that will cost generations of taxpayers nearly $1 billion. Plus, how a Major League Baseball app could benefit the Padres if their $800 million sales agreement gets approved.
And one woman's memories of growing up in City Heights becomes an art project. We'll give you a look at 44th and Landis. KPBS Evening Edition starts now. Hello, good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Dwayne Brown. A wildfire in the North County has burned nearly 1,700 acres. It's about 10% contained or surrounded. A lightning strike started the fire northeast of Warner Springs Thursday. About 200 homes have been evacuated. Temperatures weren't the only thing on the rise in San Diego this week. The cost at the gas pump rose an average of 10 cents a gallon in the past 2 days. Despite the higher costs, some customers are still filling up where they feel most comfortable. Two gas stations directly across the street from each other with totally different prices is not so unusual, but with the cost of gas going up daily, you might think twice about where you buy. That's not the case for Nancy Johns.
I know this gas station, a big brand name, so right now I'm willing to pay a little bit more, well actually a lot more than across the street, because I really don't know what the quality of gas is and what kind of mileage I'll be getting.
However, she says she is driving far less these days.
So when gas prices go up 2 cents overnight, it's a major move. We've seen 14 cents in 5 days.
Charles Langley with the consumer group UCAN has been tracking gas prices for 14 years. He says seniors seem to be most loyal to brand, but most folks aren't particular when prices are going up.
But what happens is when gas prices go up and they put a dent in your budget, then people start shopping around. Then brand loyalty goes out the window.
Langley says there's actually a rating system for the types of gas we buy.
Yeah, there's Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 gasoline, and it has to do with the additives and detergents in the gasoline. It doesn't have anything to do with the octane or the amount of explosive power.
Chevron is considered a Tier 1, while independent stations like USA and ARCO are Tier 3, providing the basic blend of California gas. But does a certain type make your car run any better?
Some mechanics have said, look, don't buy that cheap stuff. It'll clog your injectors. There aren't detergents in it, blah, blah, blah. And others say, you know what? Gasoline is gasoline. It's like vodka. It's the same formula in every pump. So don't worry about it. Just fill up and drive.
One thing Langley is more certain about is the price at the gas pump. He says the fire at the third largest refinery in the state may push prices 30 or 40 cents higher a gallon in the coming weeks. Warm temperatures are continuing through the weekend, so SDG&E is extending its Flex Alert to reward customers for cutting back on electricity. The Reduce Your Use days will run through Sunday, but California's power grid operator has lifted the statewide call for conservation. This graph shows power use in real time. The orange line at the top is the amount of available power, and the solid blue line shows the current demand. So far, supply is staying above what we're using. A big step today toward turning seawater into drinking water in Carlsbad. County Water Authority has agreed to buy from a proposed desalination plant. The 30-year deal would supply water to more than 100,000 homes. It goes for public review next. If approved, the plant could be in operation by 2016. San Diego's mayoral candidates faced off in a debate focusing on border and immigration issues. KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr was there and joins us from the News Center to talk about it. How would you describe, Katie, the tone of last night's debate?
Well, Dwayne, I think fiery is a really good way to put it. These men, Republican Carl Demaio and Democrat Bob Filner, are going all out to try and win the mayor's race. And I'd say the crowd last night was a bit more Filner-friendly based on some of the audience reactions. And Filner was definitely playing it up, inserting his trademark zingers in there, saying Demaio only learned the word Mexico recently, things like that.
Yeah, so how did Demaio come across?
Well, I think, those kinds of jabs are more Filner style, but Demaio did score some points of his own. He consistently pointed to Filner's 20 years in Washington, D.C., and said if Filner really wanted to fix things with the border, he should have done it at the federal level. And he suggested the reason for Filner's long tenure in Congress is that people wanted to get him out of San Diego before he did any more damage.
And what does this tell us about what we should expect in the next few months?
Well, it seems like all elections these days are nasty, and I think this one won't be any exception. In fact, it could even be worse. This is a really powerful office. These men are going for the first permanent strong mayor, and there's a possibility that either could also have a majority on the city council, which would make it easier to get their agendas through. Also, both are done in politics, at least for the time being, if they don't win. Demaio is not returning to the city council. Mark Kersey won his seat running unopposed in the primary, and Filner vacated his congressional seat to run for mayor, so it's a really high-stakes race for both of them.
KPBS Metro reporter Katie Orr. The Navy honored a fallen Camp Pendleton Marine today with one of its highest honors. The Navy Cross was presented to the family of Sergeant Matthew Abati. He was honored for his heroism during a battle in Afghanistan in 2010. Abati died in another battle 2 months later. Poway Unified School District borrowed more than $100 million for construction projects, but the payback will cost taxpayers nearly $1 billion. Peggy Pico explains.
In 2008, voters approved a deal with Poway Unified School District to borrow more money to cover construction debts in exchange for a promise not to raise property taxes. Under the agreement last year, the district borrowed $105 million from investors, but the bond's payback will cost generations of taxpayers nearly $1 billion. Investigative reporter Will Carless with Voice of San Diego is here to talk about the loan, if voters knew what they were getting into, and about other school districts in similar situations. Will, why is this loan so unusual?
It's mainly unusual because when you think about a loan, you think about borrowing money over a period of time, obviously, and then kind of paying it off in increments year by year. They're doing that, but they're not paying anything for 20 years. So they basically get 20 years free. They don't have to pay any payments towards it, and then they have to pay payments in the next 20 years. That makes it very, very expensive to borrow that money, which is why we look at these figures of $1 billion versus $100 million.
It's called a capital appreciation bond. In terms of an individual loan, balloon payment, interest rates, this sounds like, if I were a consumer going out and getting this kind of loan, it sounds like it's a desperate loan.
Right. I think I'd say it's definitely a desperate loan. It's a desperate measure. They've admitted as much. Other school districts that have done this have admitted, this is kind of this is kind of our last option. It is. I think I say in my story, it's kind of like an interest-only loan, but you don't even pay the interest for 20 years. So if you can imagine going into your bank and asking for that, hey, I want to buy this $100,000 house. I'm not going to pay anything for 20 years, and then I'll pay for 20 years. It's going to cost you $1 million to do that.
How was it sold to voters? Because voters approved this. Yeah, sure, go ahead, take the money and run.
Right. Well, there's two steps to this, right? So the voters approve a bond. They approve the general concept of loaning more money, borrowing $180 million. And then that happened in 2008. And voters were not told we're going to borrow it in this way. They were not told it's going to cost this much. They weren't told anything really about the financing of it. All they were told was your tax rate's going to stay the same. It's just going to stay the same for longer. We're going to extend out those taxes. And the second stage is that actually in 2011, when they did the deal, that's done by the school district. That's done by the school board. There is a sort of cursory public meeting, but voters aren't really involved in it at that stage.
So when it came to the voters, it wasn't clear to them that this was what was going to happen, $981 million to pay back this loan. San Diego County Taxpayers Association endorsed it. Do you think that influenced the voters for approving this and saying, yeah, it must be okay?
I've no doubt that it did. I've no doubt that the taxpayers' endorsement in a conservative place like Poway does carry a lot of weight. As I said on the radio earlier, it's a little bit unfair to kind of place all the blame on the Taxpayers Association. It looks like they were told by Poway, and we're still trying to figure this out, but it looks like they were told back in 2008 that this was actually going to cost a lot less. They did ask about the interest, and they were told it would cost somewhere in the region of 500 million. They approved it and endorsed it based on that information. It now seems that obviously it's ended up costing a lot more than that. But someone comes to you and says it's going to cost this much, and you say, well, that looks fair enough, and you approve it. if it then turns out to be more, can you really be blamed for making that approval?
Capital appreciation bonds were banned in the state of Michigan, but there's other school districts in San Diego that actually have this type of bond. Tell us about that.
That's right. So I think San Diego Unified has several of these, including a very, very big one from last year that's sort of $160 million that turns into more than $1 billion. We know that Oceanside School District has one. We know that Escondido Union High School District has them. I think it's the tip of the iceberg as far as California is concerned, certainly. We actually put up a 5-step how-to guide on our website, so anybody anywhere in California can use that guide to try and see if their local school district has entered into a loan like this.
If the school district has entered into a loan, especially in Poway and San Diego Unified, where it's costly, what can parents or voters, can there be anything that we can do to rectify the situation?
Well, it depends whether the deal can be refinanced. In Poway, it can't. In Poway, they're locked into that deal. In San Diego Unified, I believe they can refinance that deal. At the end of the day, we live in a democracy, right? People can show up to their school board, they can complain about this, they can ask for heads to roll, they can voice their displeasure. So I think Poway's first board meeting is on August 20th. I think it's going to be an interesting one.
Absolutely. Will Carlos, Voice of San Diego, thanks for explaining this to us.
Thank you.
An artist who grew up in City Heights has turned her childhood experience into an art project. It draws from an urban community during the 1980s at the dawn of video games and hip-hop. KPBS arts reporter Angela Carone gives us a look at 44th and Landis.
I grew up on 44th and Landis in City Heights. For me, growing up, I don't know if there's a quick answer on what that felt like. Beautiful, bittersweet, scary, exciting. I think I'm grateful for a lot of the things I learned in City Heights. My name is Margaret Noble, and I work as an artist and a teacher. I'm working on a project called 44th and Landis, which is an installation and a performance piece. For me, although the lens is tracked through City Heights, the story is about an urban community, and I want to look at history and I want to look at identity, and for me the biggest piece is the lens of children and what they understand and what they don't understand, and class and navigating different territories. I wanted to come back and look and see what was here, and so I would just do drive-bys through the neighborhood and just see what was going on and see if what I thought I remembered was still there. And then eventually I finally ended up walking around the neighborhood and recording the neighborhood and taking pictures of the neighborhood. I have a lot of memories of sounds, and some I love to this day, which I still hear when I go to City Heights. Ice cream trucks, for me, always will symbolize City Heights. And what I love is now going back to City Heights, now they have the ice cream folks walking with the little stands and bells, and that was new. It was just the trucks before. Animals everywhere, dogs everywhere, kids running around. And for me, I could hear a lot because our walls are very thin. So I've had an obsession with Victorian imagery. My entire life, my mom's been leaving around remnants of Victorianism in the house or giving me little cards with little roses. And then I looked deeper and I remember that we had paper dolls all the time around. And so here we are now looking at 44th and Landis, and paper dolls seemed very appropriate personally, but it also made sense to me because if you're talking about low income, they're so affordable, and they're also fragile, and they're also toys, so everything about them conceptually made sense for me. I'm looking to articulate two different time periods, and I keep thinking about too, because on one hand I want to wear ruffly dresses and parade around with a tiara, and the other hand I want to be dressed in all black and drive a Cadillac. And so I'm reckoning with those two sides of culture that I'm fascinated by, and I'm trying to push them together. Well, for me, there's iconic images that are very particularly 1980s and City Heights, and that might be a lowrider, or that might be candy like Laffy Taffy or Bubba Yubba Yum, or maybe it was Slip and Slide or Mrs. Pac-Man or Centipedes, anything that just screamed running around the neighborhood as a little kid and having fun. Now when I look back, I feel really proud that I got to grow up there, because I think San Diego's a pretty segregated city, and I think it's a little disappointing actually, and City Heights is one of those places that's not segregated. I think it's interesting that I am the one who gets a chance from a major institution that is endorsed by maybe the upper echelon of the art world in San Diego, and I am a white woman, and here I am to tell a story about a much more nuanced and complex neighborhood that no one really is sure that I come from or that I understand. And so yeah, I think it's complex, and I'm not sure if everybody is comfortable with me being the one to tell a story. But the reality is, it is my story, and I lived through it, and it colored me, and it was meaningful.
"44th and Landis" is currently on view at the Museum of Contemporary Art downtown. You can learn more by going to Angela's Culture Lust blog at kpbs.org. Next week, Major League Baseball owners will decide if the Padres can be sold for $800 million. Peggy Pico has more on the deal.
Under John Moore's ownership, the Padres made it to the World Series in 1998. The team got a new downtown ballpark in 2004. Now Morris has agreed to sell the team for $800 million. That's 10 times what he paid for the ball club in 1994. Andrew Keats of the Daily Transcript joins me with details of the proposed deal and its potential impact on the city. Thank you for being here, Andrew. $800 million. Is that a fair price? Is it outrageous?
Well, that's the number that's getting a lot of play right now. The thing to remember is that $200 million of that money comes from the $1.2 billion deal that the Padres inked with Fox Sports San Diego a few months ago. So that money's not coming from the new ownership group. Now, that doesn't make any difference to John Morris, who gets to pocket the money no matter where it's coming from, but the sales price as far as the new owners are concerned is really going to be considered about $600 million.
Only $600 million. How does it compare to, let's say, like the LA Dodgers franchise or other franchises?
Sure. So the Dodgers sold last year for $2 billion. Now, that is, they're in a much larger market. They're a much more historically important team. So that's not going to be where the Padres are. But it does compare. Just 3 years ago, the Padres had agreed to be sold to Jeff Morad for $500 million. Now, so $500 million to $600 million is a little bit closer. If it's $800 million, then you're looking at a $300 million increase in just 3 years, and 3 years that weren't especially successful for the Padres.
Tell us about the new owners. Who are they, and will the price that they're paying for this club impact ticket prices?
Sure. So it's the O'Malley family, who used to be owners of the Dodgers. They sold that team in 1998 to Rupert Murdoch. And along with the O'Malley family, it also includes Phil Mickelson, San Diego's famous golfer, as well as Ron Fowler, whose company Liquid Investments was actually part of the minority ownership group previously, and now he'll move into a more important role with the primary owners.
No, there's a stalled broadcast deal so that about 40% of folks in the county, there's blackout dates on these Padre games. Will this sale impact that at all or change that at all?
There's no reason to believe it definitely will, but there is reason to suspect that the new ownership will want to engender itself well to the fans and will have some reason to put more pressure on the negotiations and get involved between Fox Sports San Diego and Time Warner and say, we want to bring this product. We want to be able to be considered very fan-friendly in our new ownership. So it doesn't definitely relate, but you could have reason to be optimistic.
Tell us about the media online subsidiary and the app. That was very interesting. So there's some new ways to watch Padre games.
Sure. So there's all kinds of traditional revenue streams for baseball teams: ticket sales, parking, concessions, merchandise. But there's also these really new and interesting ways that teams are making money and that play into their valuations when they come up to be sold. One of them is called MLBAM. It's Major League Baseball's advanced media division. So that includes all 30 team websites, the ticket sales that run through those websites, as well as the iPhone app and the iPad app, which allow people to stream out-of-market games right on their phone or right on their iPad or on their computer. And so they have 2.2 million subscribers who pay up to $120 million or up to $120 a year for each of those subscriptions.
So it's a revenue generator as well. It's not just that fans can watch.
Yeah,
it's making money.
It's already right now making over $600 million in revenue, which goes to each of the 30 teams evenly. And according to one expert, they said that it might be worth as much as $6 billion, which, if you split up among the 30 owners, would be $200 million per team.
Let's come back to San Diego and ticket prices. There are so many other things to do in our wonderful city. It's sunny, there's sailing, cycling, you name it, we can do it. Does that impact the price of selling a franchise like this? Does it impact ticket prices? Sure,
it certainly impacts ticket prices because you can only sell as tickets for whatever prices demand dictates, and demand is going to be affected by all the other things that people can do in the area. So some people have said that might be why the Padres don't have as robust an attendance figure as other teams, but the reality is when the Padres win, people come out to the ballpark, and that's not entirely different than every other team in baseball. There are some teams that do really well when they're losing, but for the most part, teams and their attendance are based on how well they're doing.
Okay, we'll be following this closely. I'm sure you will too. Andrew Keats of the Daily Transcript, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks, Peggy.
In tonight's Public Square, the raucous mayoral debate on border issues at UCSD last night, moderated by our own KPBS reporter Tom Fudge, caused quite a flutter on Twitter. When asked if both of the candidates had been to Mexico this year, Filner said yes, while Demaio said no. But Tea Party activist Brian Brady tweeted, "There's a good reason for that. Carl Demaio hasn't been to Mexico. He's been cleaning up pension mess." Filner said he had been to Mexico lots of times this year and had met with at least 10 heads of Mexico's federal states, which garnered this tweet by Demaio's outreach director, Diana. Did Bob Filner just say that Mexico has 10 states? No, he didn't, responded Dave Rowland, the editor of San Diego City Beat. And so the debate continues among the candidates' followers on Twitter. You can join in on this conversation by following us on Twitter, Facebook, or just email us at publicsquare@kpbs.org.
A 19-year-old is trying to shake up youth theater with her first production, a comedy called You Be You. KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando goes behind the scenes and creates some mayhem of her own.
Do I look at the camera or look at you?
Ubu is the play. It's like as if you were watching Macbeth from a high tree and you fell out of the tree and hit your head and then wandered into a fun house carnival.
Hi, I'm Michael Schwartz. I'm directing Ubu. It's a story. It's a love story. It's a story about how hard it is to be king and queen when you want to kill everybody.
Guilty! Yeah!
Okay, this show is incredibly vibrant and zany. It's like nothing you have ever seen in San Diego. The costumes are incredible, the actors are incredible, the puppets are incredible, and you want to be here to throw something.
And word is out on the street, apparently, that you can bring things to throw if you get bored later on.
Today, I think I'm going to bring paper airplanes to give out to people in the crowd to throw at some point.
Ah! But what do I see? My brother's being chased by that Pa Ubu and his men!
Okay, I'm Ruby Kugler, and I'm the director of Space for Art.
What's really exciting about doing it at Space for Art is the physical environment suits the play so well, because it's not a traditional theater environment.
Whenever we can, we share the space with the community. We didn't want it to just be an artist enclave. We wanted it to be a place where people could come and try out new ideas.
I have the noble hook, the noble sword, So send in the nobles!
Maybe do things that don't get to be done other places.
Which one has more personality?
And this is exactly the kind of thing that maybe doesn't get to happen other places.
I am the Prince of Podolia.
The audience is on the parking lot across the street. There's people putting on shows of their own to the unknown audience when their medications are running low.
People on the street will scream out acting notes during the runs.
Guilty!
You can stand, you can dance in the back. We have some really cool rolling shopping cart, welded art projects you can roll around on.
And it's been really exciting having it here, maybe a little bit on the chaotic side.
I help with costumes. I do the PR. I've helped make the sets. I've run out and bought costumes. I mean, anything that you could do for theater, I've essentially done, but it's really fun. I love doing it. I love waking up in the morning and building a costume and then coming and assistant directing and then calling a few people and doing marketing stuff and then jumping on stage and being a door.
And being a door is the most challenging role of the production.
I don't know, I think it's a very dynamic show, and I think that's what gives it energy, because it is so malleable and all the people in it have all these great ideas which really make it as good as it is.
I think that that's what theater should be, is a complete ensemble thing where everyone is contributing, and I love jumping in all capacities, so it's been really fun.
It's pretty wild.
Guilty!
KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando. UBU runs tonight through Sunday at Space 4 Art downtown. We've got tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org/evening edition. Thanks for joining us. You have a great weekend.